everybody. Everybody could turn on their microphones. Today is November 27th, 2017. Welcome to the Town Council meeting. I would ask everybody to join us here for the pledge.
Council President Healy.
Here.
Council Vice President Collins.
Here.
Councilman DeCruz.
Here.
Councilman Veely.
Here.
Councilwoman Gledhill.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item number 4. Could I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the meetings, the previous meetings? Item A, the work session of November 13th, 2017, and the regular session of November 13th, 2017.
Motion to approve agenda item 4A and B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, we will approve the consent agenda, but with one request to remove item 8B and place that as an agenda item. So can I have a motion to address that?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, which is 6A, a resolution granting a victualling license to Calaveras LLC, Taqueria, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, restaurant, 1202 Kingstown Road in Wakefield. Application by Julio Mendoza of 348 High Street in Block Island. Is anybody here to speak to that? Please come to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. My name is Ileana. I'm Julio's wife. He's on the boat or getting off of it right now. On his way here. We're looking forward into joining the Wakefield community and opening a new taco shop. And we're currently working on the place. We're almost ready.
Awesome. You know, you're going in where PJ's Pizza used to be, correct?
Correct, yes.
Oh, awesome. So Peacedale's really, with the new rotary, the pavement, and the road work, it's beautiful down there. So I'm sure they're looking forward to having you.
It's very nice. It's a very nice sense of community.
How long have you been open on Block Island?
We started 2015, but since the business there is mostly seasonal, we decided that we want a little more stability in our lives. So
Great.
we're here.
Do you live on the island year-round, or are you on the...
We had to rent off island as well, but we do have an apartment there year-round.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
What are your hours?
We're currently looking into opening from 11 to 8 o'clock at night.
And what will you be serving?
We would be serving authentic Mexican food with, of course, our own twist. It's going to be tasty. Yeah, a lot of tacos, burritos, quesadillas. We're going to have build-your-own option. We won't be serving liquor, so family-friendly environment.
Great. When do you plan on opening?
We're hoping as soon as we get our licenses.
And this question's for me. Do you deliver?
We are uncertain of that yet, but we'll let everybody know as soon as we know.
Don't deliver to him.
He can walk from his business over there.
Make a motion, we approve item 6A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, good luck and best wishes to you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Moving on is the next item, a resolution granting a victuallating license to Healthy Waves, Nutrition Dynamex, 593 Kingstown Road, by Erica Archambault. Is somebody here to talk about this? Please come forward to the podium and state your name.
Hello, my name's Erica Archambault. So we are currently open. Actually, it's a switch of an ownership, so I'm fully taking over now. Our goal is to make South County a healthier place, so we offer healthy smoothies, energizing teas, and things like that.
Is anything changing?
No, we're just open 7 days a week now, 8 to 3.
Motion to approve item 6B as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Any oppositions? Good luck.
Thank you.
Alright. That will bring us to item number 7, which is a public hearing relative to an application for renewal of an indoor shooting range license in accordance with the South Kingstown Town Code, Chapter 9, Article 6, Indoor Shooting Ranges, Section 9, 158, a term of the lease, renewal, transfer. And this is for the gun range as presented by Mark, a member of the property located at 130 Pearls Way, Wakefield.
132 Pearls Way.
Oh, okay, it says 130, okay? We'll make that correction.
Madam President, this is the same application we put in. I don't know if this is the second or third. It's taken us a while to get this up and going. There was only one issue that I spoke to Mr. Ursillo about beforehand. If you look at the application, the operating hours are from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's been consistent in all the licenses. I think the only confusion was if it's, extended member access. It really shouldn't be extended member access on the form. The extended hours only for police, military. We've talked to the chief, the South Kingston police chief, and we've already told them they can have extended hours access. So there won't be any public or private members shooting, after the hours specified in the license. So basically the 24-hour shooting is just for military, Coast Guard, police. That's it. And even that we have it set up so they have a separate parking area in the back. They come around the back of the building. They have a separate door, which allows them access only to the gun range itself as opposed to the retail and the club area.
I just have a question. Just as a point of clarification, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. or
10
to 10 p.m.?
We've been doing that.
Should be, the ordinance says 9.
All right. I think the only reason we had 10 p.m., honestly, is that I think the shooting stops at 9, and it's just the cleanup from 9 to 10.
The ordinance says hours of operation, 8 a.m. to 9, and so...
That's for the, right, and the way I took that was operation of the gun range and using the range. That we're going to be open after that for cleanup, but there won't be any shooting going on.
How are the renovations coming along?
Just about done. The
Yeah.
furniture came today.
Oh, great.
I hope everyone can come down and take a look at it.
I've seen it's beautiful.
I heard your fireplace is magnificent, so
3 of them.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of interest with corporations that want to do board meetings there. And like I said, when I came here initially, more than 2 or 3 years ago, it's not just a shooting facility. It's really a really nice meeting facility, a club. The classrooms are beautiful. So there's a lot of uses for this other than shooting, which is, it's a nice function. The public wants it, and it's safe, and it's secure. But there's a lot of other uses for the facility for everyone down in South County.
And then when you mentioned that the police, military, and Coast Guard would have access for during the overnight hours, like somebody coming off one of their shifts, is there a staff member there 24 hours if somebody does come in, or do they have a special access code to get in?
No, they would have an access code, but they still have to, meet our they'd have to have a safety officer with them.
Okay.
And Sven can speak to this more, one of the managers down there. But a police officer just couldn't show up at 2 o'clock in the morning by himself. It's usually what happened. They come down in groups to qualify. They save time on the range time's not that expensive, but it's the overtime they have to pay the police officers when they have to get a group to a certain location at a certain time and have other people cover for them.
Okay.
So this kind of opens up doors for them where they can do things after hours or they can do stuff during our slow times. But any police, Coast Guard, military, they would have to provide we'd have to know who the person is, have their own range safety officer in order to gain access and then to use the facility.
Okay.
Which they all do anyways.
Sure. Yeah, I was just curious how that worked.
So, Mark, I just want to return to this is a public hearing, and I just want to be clear. You mentioned, for instance, it's not just a shooting range. Other activities go on there. But the ordinance doesn't differentiate between shooting and playing cards or table tennis or whatever is going on there. So the facilities are supposed to close at 9, other than the after-hours stuff for police, Coast Guard, et cetera. If you envision eventually a situation where members are going to be gathering to do whatever after the shooting takes place, you need to come back to the council and talk about a change to this ordinance, because this talks about operations globally, not just shooting operations.
I have no problem doing that. Again, my interpretation when we did that was it was for the shooting. Even the license, the language in the license that we created is the gun range, not the facility. So, but Mike, I have no problem coming back to the town council. I think that if we have to do something to make that happen, I really think it's a huge benefit to Peacedale, Wakefield, South Kingston, that, when you come down and see it, I don't think you're going to have a problem if we're closed shooting at 9 and a board wants to have a meeting, or there's some political fundraising, I don't know, whatever people want to use it for me, after hours.
And there's plenty of time, I think, to come to this council and ask for that. So put something together and we'll get it submitted.
I was thinking more like even like early business meetings at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
before.
I mean,
Really?
Some of us must
I-
be
yeah,
4:30 or 5, huh?
yeah. I'll work with Mr. Arcillo on that. I'm sure we can come up with some language that if it's approved by the council to afford the facility the opportunity to use the other amenities there other than the gun range for meetings, gatherings, whatever.
I've really heard such wonderful things about the renovations, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. So,
Have any of you been down there and seen this yet?
not the
I've been
finish.
by, but I've seen all the pictures.
Oh, yeah, the pictures don't do it.
It's beautiful.
And people, I had a woman down the other day from Sawarski, and she was looking for a facility to do board meetings and gatherings for her company. That's one of the jobs she had. And she had looked at the other place, not to be mentioned, in Richmond, and she was blown away by our facility. And they're very interested in setting up corporate meetings down there, and for all their corporate members and that type of thing. So we're going to be speaking with her about that in the very near future. But I really suggest that whenever you can, and Sven and James are always around if you want to just take a look at it. Right now, it's we're only waiting for log sets and lock sets, and then we'll have our final inspections walkthroughs hopefully in the next week or week and a half. And then we'll be able to get it up and going. So the furniture's coming in, decorations are coming in now. It's something. It's really something to say.
Good. So in terms of, well, first of all, we need to, if there's anybody else who would like to come up to speak to this matter, because it is a public hearing. Seeing none, I need a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. And then we need to have a motion to address this public hearing.
I would recommend that you move to approve the application in conformance with the ordinance, which is Article 6, indoor shooting ranges. And the only purpose of that is so that we address that issue of the 8 to 9. And then I'm more than happy to work with Mr. Fay with regard to any subsequent amendments.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Open, thank you.
Good to see you.
Moving on to item number 8, which is part of the communications part of the agenda, a communication dated November 9th from John Pacheco III, who is president of the Burrillville Town Council, concerning the energy facility siting, board's suppression of municipal resolutions opposing the Invenergy's proposed siting of the Clear River Energy Center power plant in that town of Burrillville. It will be advising of upcoming hearings for the public, and we received that notification, and the council further directs as follows.
Read through this the other day, and I'm having trouble remembering what exactly they're asking us to do at this point.
They're asking the council to submit a letter to the Energy Facility Siting Board indicating the council's continued opposition to the siting of the facilities by the new power plant.
So this is just a letter saying that we're upset about what they did, not necessarily something new about the power plant itself.
I understand whether they were asking you to say that you were upset that the board had agreed that the 35 communities' opinions didn't matter, or whether they were asking you to reaffirm your opposition to the facility siting.
I would agree with both of those statements, so.
I'm just wondering how we can be most effective, or
I guess we could say, I would make a motion that we reaffirm our opposition to the siting of the Clear River Energy Center power plant in Burrville. Send that communication back to them. Hopefully they'll let us know if it's insufficient.
second.
For the matter of discussion, to answer your question, Abel, I don't know if we can be effective. They told 32 other communities, but I'm certainly willing to.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing no opposition, motion carries. We're going to go on to item 8B, which was placed on the agenda, which was a communication dated November 21st, 2017, from James W. O'Neill, providing additional background information concerning the construction by the South Shore Village and Country Club, which was formerly known as South County Country Club. And Jim is here, so Jim, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Council, for giving me this opportunity just to sort of complete my evidence, if you will, that I'm presenting to the Council on this particular issue. I can be fairly brief on some of this early part here. The old enclosures, if you sort of follow the format that I gave to you, the old enclosures, they were specific about mobile manufactured home park being allowed here, with a couple of conditions. The land evidence records will include all the ground leases for the mobile home sites. And under number 5, covenants placed in the land evidence records indicating restrictions who can use the road, the over 55, etc., all be indicated on any and all of the ground leases for the mobile home sites. I put in a memo from Andy Tights, Mike's partner, back from, back in 1999, 2000. Specifically, the first page, just under Tuckertown Village, but it was the same animal here. And I'll just read here. As you will recall, uses that have received either a special use permit, and I'll just go on. Uses are considered to be use by special use permit or use by variance and is subject to all of the terms and conditions of the specific special exception, special use permit, or variance which was originally granted by the zoning board, manufactured home park. Going on, the 2007 was just a reconfirm of everything that happened in 1999, 1998, 1997, and was an extension from 1982. The newer issues here, I put in a South Shore, our multiple listing front sheet. Of course, they don't mention leases. They mention a approximate lot square footage. You can see down there at the bottom middle, 6,225 feet, but no mention of leases. But what I wanted you to see was on the warranty deed and under the type, which I mentioned before to you, an absolute and indefeasible fee simple title in and to that parcel of real property, a separate freehold being unit number, so on and so forth. The definition I've always understood of separate freehold is you own the building and the land. Going on to, I wanted to bring up here south winds, because as you heard Mike say in the last meeting, that these are not land development projects. This is not a conventional subdivision. But I wanted to bring up two of our latest, largest condominium developments, one being South Winds. And just to read the third paragraph down where I drew an arrow, approve the conceptual master plan for South Winds, an age-restricted land development project. Same thing with Wakefield Meadows, land development project, multi-household. South Shore Country Club was not a land development project. It was approved and granted as a mobile manufactured home park. Big difference. So quickly moving on here. I gave you a list of definitions. I've already mentioned what a separate freehold meant, so that's why South Shore Country Club seems to be selling the land. I put in there, after that, Roy Carpenter's, Mary Carpenter's, Village of Potter Pond, everything else I'd mentioned earlier. All of these are personal property, bill of sale for the building site, for the buildings, bill of sale. Tuckertown, Warden, same thing, personal sale, personal property. What's interesting on the multiple listing sheets which I gave to you, just the second row down, lease land, yes. Adult community, yes. Very specific. No garages, even though we know they can have garages, even though we know we can have basements. But the point is, very specific, the multiple listing sheet, that it is a modular manufactured home park. Very specific. In the second page, when you look at the financing type, it's cash. That's what everybody else has to do, is cash. South Shore Country Club is a mortgage. A mortgage is conventional or land development project, but a mortgage you can't get for a manufactured home. You have to have cash, cash equivalents, so on and so forth. I think that's all pretty clear. So let's skip over Tuckertown and Warden for a minute. And next we will go, I've already told you about South Winds and Wakefield Meadows, so let's now go right to South Shore. And I'm not sure the order I gave you of some of the sales in there, but if you look on there, type of home, one level, zoning residential. There's nothing for leased land, no indication whatsoever that the approval for this, granted over tens of thousands of man-hours put into this, was for a mobile manufactured park. No mention whatsoever. Nobody knows anything about the granting of the permit. Again, the warranty deed, which I read to you, the separate freehold, on and on. The specific one I want you to look at is the, let's see, I probably forgot the thing. Give me a second here just to get partially organized. Well, I do have it here, so forgive me. Okay, here we go. Was one specific unit. And in this, I copied the mortgage. And what it says here, C, the conveyance of these deeds is made subject to the following. You go to the next page, letters F and letters G. Letter F, provisions of existing building and zoning laws. G, provisions of the approvals granted by the Zoning Board of Review and Planning Board of the Town of South Kingstown concerning the property on which the condominium is located. Nowhere, anywhere here can you find any reference to a mobile manufactured home park, and yet that's what all these years were spent on. Just a couple more thoughts for you here. No one seemed to be in disagreement. 2008, 2009, all the appeals were exhausted. Hours that were put in by your planning zoning board members. The applicant didn't get his approval for more units. nor did the team I work with get a net yield minus wetlands, ponds, et cetera, drainage, you name it. So we both went on from there. Everything was quiet for the ensuing 6-7 years. So this whole issue came up with the new owner late in 2015 and his building permits, which he started with in early 2016. So as you heard Mike in the last meeting say that any buyers of these units would be sadly mistaken if they thought they owned the land underneath. That was on the tape. I've got copies of it, and I'm sure you can all listen to it also. But that's exactly what was said. Okay, thank you. And I look at this as I went to all the meetings. The developers here sold this deal to all those planning boards, zoning members over the years. This is what they were going to do. I showed you the proof. I showed you the applicants' own commentaries with their interviews with newspapers. This is what it was going to be. It was going to be a leasehold property, with the fancy amenities, the golf course, etc. But it was going to be leased, manufactured home site. It was going to be an extension of Tuckertown Warden Pond. I gave you all their information. This isn't anything I'm coming up out of the blue with. It's their information and application. And their attorneys, Mr. Osello, Mr. Tights, Nancy Latendry, her associate, everybody was on board and repeated that many, many times. It's throughout all the stenographer notes, 10 scores of pages where they all said that. Matter of fact, Nancy Latendry used to scold me, Jim, I've told you 1,000 times, this is not a land development project. This is not a conventional subdivision. It is a use, a particular use. It is a use for a manufactured home park. I kept her from really getting angry with me. I finally sat down, but she was adamant about that. The witnesses that were provided by the applicant, they brought environmental folks, realtors, you name it, hydrologists, both sides did. And this is what your zoning board came up with. They came up with a mobile manufactured home park with those number of units, 285 units at the time. Unbelievable how many man-hours they put into all this. So somehow or another here, and hopefully Mike can help me out here tonight, any reference to a mobile manufactured home park seems to have disappeared. There's no application with DBR. There's no license that South Shores asked for, especially after 4 units went in. Somehow or another, this has evolved into something totally different than what our zoning and planning board people did. And the reason that a couple things really stand out here, something was wrong, and I mentioned to you this in the first meeting. And yes, it doesn't mean anything, but it's very important if you just sit back and think about things for a minute. The multiple listing sheets I gave to you all show an association fee of $170 per month for South Shore. Times 300 units annually, it's $612,000 annually. Tuckertown at $425 times their 235 units is $1.2 million. Twice as much money raised at Tuckertown. Yet South Shore has got a golf club, pools, tennis, general store, fitness center. It's a gated community. It's unbelievable. There are 500 homes that could be up there, and no one will be needed to come to Wakefield to shop or go play golf at Laurel Lane, anything else, but that's beside the point. But that's the first thing that stood out to me when I got these multiple listing sheets. Something's wrong with the numbers here. And obviously, you get a phone call and you find out, guess what? They're not bringing in the manufactured home units. So you quickly learn. What I'm concerned about here is the banks issuing mortgages. Do they know this was an approved manufactured home park? I don't think they do, and I've talked to 2 banks. I told you earlier about issuing mortgages. If it were a manufactured home park, no, you don't issue mortgages. They can borrow money, equity lines, anything else, cash, but there are no mortgages there. And I'm really worried about any domino effect here. Do the buyers know that they're not owning land? And Mike was quite specific the last time. They certainly better know, and they should know. Do banks and lending institutions, title companies, do they know this is an approved manufactured home park? Because remember, all the literature I gave you, it's like it doesn't exist. All those approvals are like it doesn't exist. My own multiple listing service, you would never know this was an approved manufactured home park. It says nowhere on there. Everywhere else, all those other developments I told you about, mainly bill of sale stuff, it's all in there, modular, manufactured, lease, et cetera, et cetera. This, you have no clue what this is. And just to wrap it up here, DBR, I told you, commercial licensing, nobody knows anything up there. And the worst thing of all, as I mentioned to you before, about the affordable housing part of this. These things are selling for up to $470,000. These are not affordable homes. And I don't know if our legislature ever passed. I know they were asked 2 or 3 years ago, Mike, maybe you might remember, but affordable housing, senior or otherwise, mobile manufactured home parks, I believe, certainly the legislation was put in that they could be included in a city or town's affordable housing count. So I don't know if that ever passed, but I'm just throwing that in as an aside, but you might answer that when you have a second, because I don't know where that finally wound up. So the last thought I have here is the chilling effect that you'll have on the hundreds of people and the hundreds of people in future councils when you go to appoint members, conservation committee members, planning board members, zoning board members. I am telling you, because I live with it, they really, tens of thousands of man-hours, all these people, all from 1982 forward, on this issue. The applicant spent lots of money. Opposition spent lots of money. But what are you telling folks like that when all of a sudden that decision that was made just seems to have disappeared? It's on nobody's radar screen. I think we have a problem. And I really wish that you would give a permanent injunction, if you will, on issuing building permits until we get to a point where this can all be figured out. So I am baffled, and I admit my, if you will, not understanding of all the legal terms, because I'm not an attorney. And so hopefully, Michael, you can tell me what's happened and where this, where our manufactured home park has gone to.
So Jim, you've given my law firm quite an assignment, and we too, between myself, Andy Tights, my partner, Amy Goins, my associate, I cannot tell you the hours we have spent poring over the documents that you have provided to the council and to me, and also reviewing them with Chelsea's office. So from our perspective, an incredible amount of time has been put into this. But let me begin with a question to you. So you're aware of the fact that there are manufactured home parks throughout the state where at some point the owners buy the park, and in effect it becomes a condominium. That happens all the time. It's legal, it's allowed, it happens. In this case, they're beginning with the condominium form of ownership from day one, instead of waiting until 50% or more of the owners pool their money and purchase it and turn it into a condominium.
So they skip if I may, they're skipping the first step. Like Waccamo, are they skipping the first step, is what you're saying?
Because they can, and here's why they can. Yes, all of the decisions that you referenced that are recorded in the land evidence records, they all reference manufactured home park. No question about it. They all reference that. However, nowhere in those decisions that were issued by zoning and planning did the town require that this be a leased situation. So the form of ownership wasn't specified. It wasn't made a condition of the approvals, the many approvals, 99, 06, 07, 08, et cetera, as you point out. And again, all of these are recorded. We all have them all. And there's a law, and believe it or not, the law was upheld in a South Kingstown case, ironically, just pure coincidence, that no town is able to impose a restriction that's not already in their ordinances to prevent the form of ownership from being that of a condominium. So because the decision, it may very well be, you're 100% correct, it was marketed as a manufactured home park. Yes, that is exactly how it was marketed, and that's what was approved. But what was not specifically approved one way or another was the form of ownership. So that form of ownership, which is a condominium, is similar to what other parks have become after time. This is becoming it from the beginning. We see no impediment to that form of ownership. I will repeat that anyone who has a deed, and I've already pointed this out to Steve Kenyon, who's the attorney for the owner, that any deed which purports to convey the land underneath that condominium is a title defect. That's between whoever they bought it from and the owner of that parcel. The town doesn't get involved. You know, deeds are recorded many times with all kinds of mistakes, whether they be quitclaim deeds, warranty deeds. That's not a legal issue for the town. It's a legal issue between the property owner and whoever they bought it from, whoever the title company is, etc. Those deeds cannot create the fact that a deed might be recorded which implies or states that they own the land underneath doesn't mean that this area has now been subdivided. I can't say that enough times. So that may be an issue with individual property owners, but it's not for the town. We also spent a lot of time with senior legal counsel at DBR, a woman named Amy Stewart, and also a woman named Donna Constantino. She's the Associate Director of Commercial Licensing. We went over all of this extensively with her, asking, should this be licensed through DBR? And both of them concluded in this very long conference call after we had forwarded the information ahead of time that no, because these are manufactured homes and not mobile homes. So we know what the difference is. The manufactured home is that it's like built in two halves somewhere. It's shipped to the property and it's put together on a foundation. It is not something that has wheels on it, that's rolled in, the wheels are pulled off, and it sits. Because under their definitions, it is not a mobile home park, they have no jurisdiction over it. So they have confirmed that to us. We've also spent a lot of time looking at the condominium documents because exactly as you say, do these people realize what they're getting into, what these expenses are going to be? Are they going into it eyes wide open? And the declaration that has been recorded in the land evidence records and theoretically given out to people when they buy these make certain things very clear. Number one, they make clear that no one 55, it's a 55 and over community. So if you're not 55, you cannot live there. Number two, it makes it very clear that there is a golf course that they will have to maintain. Now, it also goes on to say in the condominium documents that the condominium members who are also members of the golf club will pay for the operations of the golf club. The people who are not members of the golf club and don't belong as golfers will have to make payments to maintain the open space that the golf club is set on. But there is that distinction. So theoretically, there's going to be, not theoretically, there is going to be another fee that people who actually golf on that club are going to have to pay in order to keep it going. So we have not come across anything which is contrary to what our zoning and planning boards did, because it is a manufactured home park. It is a condominiumized manufactured home park. But that form of ownership is not prohibited under either our ordinance or under state law. So that's the conclusions we've come to, and I've sent the council a second memo. I'm more than happy to share with you that sort of sets forth all of these items. So there were, I don't know if it was 2 or 3, Chelsea, can you remind me, how many stick-built permits? 4, okay. So there was a mistake. So the difference between a manufactured home and a stick-built home, simply a stick-built home is the one where it's built from the ground up. And 4 permits were inadvertently given to 4 individuals to do that. There's been an end to that. That will not happen for the next 300 or however many it is altogether. We have been told by the attorney for the owner that they may be coming in asking for an amendment to permit stick-built buildings on these parcels. We are under no obligation to grant that. They have every right to ask for it. I believe the rationale in coming before you will be, hey, all these manufactured homes are made somewhere else in another state using labor from elsewhere. Why not employ our own contractors right here in town and let them build from the ground up? Whether or not that is rationale that convinces anyone that that's a good thing or not, I don't know. Whether or not they actually come in and ask for this, that's what I've been told. But until such time as the ordinance is changed, that will not be allowed and shouldn't be allowed. And maybe, Jim, that's where these deeds, these wrongly issued deeds about owning the piece of land under the building came from, was in connection with those things. And I didn't look at each one individually, but
Just says that's separate freehold.
could be. It could be that, but again, that is, from the town's perspective, no such permits can or will be issued in the future other than the 4 that are already out there. And again, I've already brought to the attention of the attorney for the applicant that any deed that purports to sell the land underneath the condominium unit is absolutely null and void because it is not a subdivision. It's one piece of land.
Should they take out that a separate freehold in there between commas?
So again, as I said, that's between the person who bought it and the owner to work on. That is not something for the town to get in the middle of, just like we wouldn't get in the middle of any sale that goes on anywhere in the town between a willing buyer and a seller.
Right. Well, I can understand that aspect. To work backwards from what you talked about, you brought up golf. Remember, this is a gated community, and the specific use said that there are no guests allowed. So again, you heard the numbers I gave you earlier. How in the world are those folks going to be able to support that village, including a golf course? Joe, I don't know if you and your neighbors up there are willing to jump in with a few extra $100, few extra $1,000 a year to keep that going. I'd be surprised, but with no guests, this makes no sense financially. It really doesn't, Michael, but that's all their choice.
Well,
They've been
as long as you addressed me, Jim,
Yep.
I think Mike answered that in that there will be fees to residents who also belong to the golf club. So that's potentially how they're going. I don't know what their business plan is, but that's potentially how they could fund it.
No, I certainly understand that. Very interesting business plan, but especially with no guests, so it's requiring all the owners to come up with the money. But Mike, you mentioned something, and I wish I had Judge Lamphere's cases here about mobile manufactured homes. Waccamo was specific on that. The judge addressed stick-built cottages that were there, manufactured homes, and there was 1 or 2 mobile homes on the Waccamo Park. The judge said no distinctions whatsoever, seasonal, wealth, lease, no distinctions whatsoever on this. So I don't quite understand what Mrs. Constantino, I think I've talked to her once or twice. I don't understand that distinction, but I won't battle you on that now, but there's something wrong there. I only wish, if this were the case, of all the hours that the jury of your peers, people you and other councils have put on these boards, Mike, why didn't you and Nancy and Andy Tite say you need to dot some I's and cross some T's here? This might be coming at you in a different form. I don't understand it. Are they not supposed to ask questions like that? And this is left up to 10 years down the road that somebody can...
But I guess there's the basic difference of opinion we're having, Jim. No one is arguing that this is not a manufactured home park. I'm not arguing with you about that. It is. I'm clear. It's all on one piece of property. It's manufactured homes, other than those 4 mistakes, as I mentioned. So the issue where we have a disagreement is whether or not manufactured homes have to be on leased property versus whether or not it can be an ownership situation or the condominium format. And I thought I was trying to use the example of there are many such manufactured home parks in the state that are condominium owned.
No problem there. I don't have a problem with that.
Can I just have a question there? So the condominiumized parks like this, you can get a mortgage on a condominium?
Yeah. A condominium, you can get a mortgage on a piece of personal property if it was leased land. It's very difficult. I've seen it, but it's extremely
But it is possible.
It's
Right, but
almost
does-
like a car loan, and if it's a mobile loan.
Right. I mean, my biggest concern is that people are confused about what they're buying here. And these deeds are misleading even the banks to believe that there's real property underneath the home, and these mortgages have flaws in them just like the titles do.
You know, my only response can be this, Abel. All of these decisions are recorded in the land. I have the recording numbers on everything Jim gave you came right out of the land evidence records. So that means when someone goes to buy one of these properties and they do their title search, they're going to come across. It's impossible not to come across. There are so many of them. So if a bank has decided to go forward with a mortgage, thinking somehow that it's the land underneath. But I don't think that's the case, because I do closings every other week. Banks give mortgages on condominiums every day of the week. So now maybe there was an issue, again, this deed that's out there that somehow gives the freehold interest. I'm not, again, that's between the owner and the seller. But banks are pretty sophisticated, and I don't see banks being bamboozled.
It's not our job to...
And it's not our job to get in the middle of that. Our job is to be sure that what is on record is exactly what our boards approved, and banks do their own due diligence, but as I said, banks give out mortgages on condominiums every day.
I totally appreciate the wealth of information that you brought to us on this, Jim. Very enlightening for me. A lot of this I wasn't aware of, some of the policy and issues. But, Mike, I just think you and your team have given us a great response, and I appreciate the work that Chelsea's put into it. And I guess I'm a little worried about the tone of why wasn't this caught over the last 10 years. I mean, from what it seems like, a problem doesn't exist from what you're saying. You're looking at this, and you can't find the issue. And Chelsea can't, and nobody in your office can. So is the town in any kind of liability risk based on your professional opinion on this?
No, not to my, as I said, we spent a lot of time seeing, was there a mistake made somewhere along the way? Is there something wrong? It all comes down to the form of ownership, leasehold versus owner via a condo situation. That's really what that's where the difference of opinion is.
And when Abel said about a bank, say a bank did misinterpret and thought that they were giving a mortgage to the land underneath, like that this is a property on land, that would be not a municipal problem at all. That would be
no liability to the town of South Kingstown
right.
at all.
Okay.
Wouldn't there be title insurance anyway?
Right.
Well, theoretically, not everyone buys title insurance. Usually before a bank gives a mortgage or a loan on a piece of property, they absolutely insist on title insurance. So
There's two options to that. There's the making sure that the bank's protected, but also making sure that the buyer is protected on the difference.
So, Jim, what are you worried about as from a town standpoint? What do you think we should be most concerned about with this?
Well, a couple of issues here that really trouble me. Working backwards again, are all those folks that made a decision here that called this a mobile/manufactured home park. And as I mentioned you can't find that anywhere in the deeds, title insurance, sales, multiple listing. You don't see that approval nowhere. So yes, there could be condominium. You can have caveman associations, homeowners associations. Forget the word condominium here. That separate freehold means you're selling this. The deed transfer is with land. You can look it up. Hit your cell phones now. Look it up, and I'll wait while you look it up. That's the definition. This is why it's so confusing. But also, really, I just hate to see that all the hours put in by zoning planning and also Mike's team, the town's team, this just seems a little razzle-dazzle. And I brought this up, and you can see how confusing this was, because look at the time everyone's had to spend on this. And this is a major issue that you don't want to have come back and bite the town, because is the town going to be responsible? Should we, at the building inspector's office downstairs, should there be notice here, but it's the same developer, but should there be notice given to a buyer? And what they're saying is that's between the buyer and the developer when they transfer it. But I think it's our responsibility, because we worked too hard and too long to maintain that this was a mobile manufactured home park. Very disconcerting. Why join the planning or zoning board anymore if it just disappears? And, I'm not blaming Mr. Asello or should Nancy or should Andy of, oh, guys, you better be careful here. Cross those T's, dot those I's. You really should have looked at the different forms of ownership, because this baby could turn right around. And what's happened here, which I don't think we're measuring here, is that for a mobile manufactured home park, that's how they come up with the 303 units. If you read the approvals, it was all judged upon and based upon land development project or a subdivision project of 204. They're getting their cake and they're eating it too. They're getting it all ways here. Something is terribly wrong. Anyway, I do thank you for your time. I just hope that this is not going to be a future problem. Anyway, we'll go from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
I make a motion that we place item 8A on file and send it to solicitor.
8B.
8B, sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If anything else comes up, please contact us or the planning board, and we'll go from there on this subject.
Yeah, I was just checking with Steve. I'm not aware of anyone in this park that has made a complaint to the town about anything, so Steve's saying none at all.
Moving on to item number 9, comments from interested citizens. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to come up and speak about anything or any issues that you'd like to address within the town, now would be your time to do it. And should you choose to come up, please come to the podium and state your name.
Jim O'Neill again, Wakefield, Matuka. Mike, I'm sorry, I missed your response to the last question.
No, I was saying that according to staff, Steve and his staff, no one from this particular manufactured home park has complained to anyone at the town that something was wrong or something is amiss, or they feel that they were hurt by something the town has done. There have been no complaints, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and I won't disagree with that. The people that were here at the first meeting were the former abutters to this massive piece of property. And believe me, if you want hundreds of people on a petition, I can get them for you, because this is really very confusing. Anyway, my other comment was listening to you at the work session tonight, knowing you've got not only capital budget coming up, but you'll be seeing the school committee budget shortly. And the problem with that school committee budget, which I faced for, 14 years here, is boy, you're going to see this in the middle of December. You have Christmas, New Year's, who knows what. And if I think, Steve, is it February 15th? When does that budget have to be in by the school committee? When's that required?
Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
14th.
So, 2 months minus 3 or 4 weeks, so you're down to 3, 4, 5 weeks of, trying to spend some quality time working on this. And I'm just worried that they're going to default because of all the new members and all the questions on management and who should be where and who should be doing what. I hope they don't seek a mulligan, if you will, to just spend money as they have in the past and not reflect what the town has been waiting for since I started with this in 2009, that they needed a facility study. Bob Hicks promised it then. Anthony Mega promised it in 2012. Anthony Mega said, we're over-facilitated, and I guess I thought this was going to be a facility study. And everything I hear, it's more about mission and philosophy, et cetera, which is terrific. And running a school department and managing the kids is not easy. But somehow or another, you've seen how the state continues to treat us. And one of the major reasons for the numbers, the downfall we're getting from the state is not just health, Medicare, Medicaid, other things, but basically are the kids in the seats. And that has been our major decline. 10.5 million we got from the state of Rhode Island in 2009-10. And where are we this year? A little over 6 million? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Anybody else from the audience would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, Town Manager's Report.
Actually, Mike, can I make a comment before we move on? I just wanted to make sure for anybody watching that this weekend is the weekend of a million activities, and I know the town is doing their tree lighting at the Guild on Sunday, and it's always really beautiful. And then Wakefield Village Association is having theirs on Saturday, and so is Peacedale, the Neighborhood Revitalization Committee down at the Rotary. So there's tons of activities that are all free for the public, for people to come out and enjoy some of the beautiful parts of our community for free. So I hope that everybody knows and puts it on their calendar.
Anything else? Thank you. Oh, moving on. Steve?
Just a couple of items I wanted to reference. Item H in the November 22nd package is a memorandum from John Schock indicating that the town will be receiving a grant of $594,300 for two specific purposes. One, dealing with TMDLs in the Narrow River area. We'll use up to $462,000 there. And secondly, the remaining dollars would be available for 50% of the costs associated with a second street sweeper, which is a vacuum sweeper, which is far more efficient in terms of dealing with environmental issues, particularly in picking up the salt and sands. That's an important grant. It'll take the local match. Fortunately, the town council, through the capital improvement program on a yearly basis over the last 5 years, has reserved dollars for dealing with TMDLs to be able to provide a sufficiency of local dollars to match that those state grants. Second item I wanted to mention, and I think is a very important issue, is that the town for the second year has been awarded through the Government Finance Officers Association the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 2017-18 budget. As the press release indicates, the Distinguished Budget Award is a recognition that the budget provides both a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device for talking about how dollars are going to be spent. I want to give special recognition to Trish Sunderland, our finance director, along with Colleen in my office and Amy in my office, working as a team with all the departments to be able to provide definition as to how each of the departments meets the council's goals and objectives, and then to be able to provide that in a readable form. I think we're all very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and hopefully this is the second of many years that the town will continue to provide a budget document that will best serve the community in terms of providing people an opportunity to understand why we do what we do and how much it costs to do each of those elements. So again, I'd like to recognize the staff as well as each of the department directors, because the staff, in terms of doing the compulations, is only as good as the data that we get from each of the individual departments. I also want to also recognize that some of the detail that's provided in terms of icon development is also through the planning department with the planners there, Chelsea's office also providing assistance. So it's really a group effort, and I think it's something that the entire staff takes pride in. Those are the only two items I wanted to report on tonight.
Please convey our thanks to the staff for a job well done. I know it's no easy task to prepare those budgets, and the concise reports that we receive and the fact that we're able to muddle through it is really due to the diligent efforts of everybody on your staff. So I do hope that there is a press release that does go out, and there continues to be something on the website about that, because it's a very distinguished award, and you all should be very proud of that.
We are, the budget is a 12-month-a-year operation. And in fact, as I mentioned in the pre-session, the capital budget will be released for the December 1st date. That document is another 200-page document that outlines the next 6 years of capital expenditures, but also, more importantly, provides definition to those areas that we've got considerable concern as far as where monies should be spent or how they're going to be spent, not just on the municipal side, but also on the school side and your utilities. I've got major concerns in that budget document in terms of trying to provide better definition as to where we're going in terms of facilities management in the school system. Hopefully, some definition will be provided with the legacy project that the school committee has underway, because that's a key component of the capital improvement program. Right now, we're looking at multi-million dollars worth of improvements that may be necessary, and then how we would fund that, whether it's through bonds, state aid assistance, and what type of assistance will be available going forward. So there's a lot of important decisions that need to be made, but as long as we stay ahead of it, the financial management in the town will continue to be at the level that it has been. And it's something that's very, very important for the community to participate in the discussions. It's more important for us to have dialogue than it is for us to have consensus on those at this point.
Right.
And that's something I hope we can promote as a component in that first step of the capital improvement program.
Steve, I have a question, because you mentioned the budget development and something about utilities. I saw that National Grid's doing another rate increase. I think it was 15%, and I know they did one earlier in the year with 53%, and I didn't know if that, made the process.
They're applying for the rate increase at this point. It'll go through the Public Utilities Commission. I believe that they will receive a rate increase. Again, this goes back to the concerns that we expressed 2 years ago when they finished the first water tower at Tower Hill. The rate increase went through because of the capital costs associated with that facility. Now that the one that's going in on South Road is underway, that capital cost, we've said from day one that the PUC should require the cost of the capital improvement to be recognized in advance of the construction rather than subsequent to the construction, but to no avail. I think there will be a rate increase there. The size of it, I can't say at this point how high it will be, but it could be considerable again.
I'd just like to mention that real proud of the job that you folks have done, and you and your team, and it's just a real solid team, and I hope the town appreciates that.
With that, we consider Mike part of the team.
Mike,
And
on to
I'm
you.
open for questions, otherwise, duties performed, as we like to say.
Staying another 42 years as well?
No, I won't.
We would like you to be here.
Okay, moving on. If there's nothing else from the town solicitor's report, any appointments that we have this evening? See, I don't think we see any appointments tonight. So let's move on to new business item 13A, which would be a resolution affirming or amending the town's liquor license rules and regulations under Section 1. The current number of licenses for each class shall be authorized as indicated below unless changed by a majority vote of the council for the year beginning December 1st. We spoke to this at the work session. Under victualler licenses, we currently have 28, but there are 2 businesses in town, including Chen's and La Strada, that are no longer in business. So we have the option of keeping those at 28 or minimizing them by 2 to 26. Do I have any conversation, discussion, or motion?
Make a motion to amend the Class B victualler licenses from 28 to 26.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to B, a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Dry Bridge Sand and Stone, located at Dry Bridge Road in North Kingstown, for winter sand at a unit price of $14.39 per ton, delivered in accordance with the State of Rhode Island MPA for this fiscal year 2017 and 18, and is further described in a memorandum dated November 16th to the town manager.
As John's memo indicated, back in May, we had gone out for sealed bids on this and received a price of $15.37 per ton. Since that time, the state has gone out for a master price agreement, and the price that was provided by the same vendor was at $14.39. Dry Bridge Sand and Stone has agreed for the town to be able to use the MPA price at the $14.39. Ask council to approve as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Any oppositions? Seeing none, moving on to item C, a resolution rejecting all bids received on September 25th of this year for the animal shelter exterior painting project. And this was described to the town manager from the facility superintendent on November 16th for a bid award, animal shelter post and beam restoration.
We're asking for the council to reject all bids for the painting. As a note in the memorandum, we found that the amount of work that was necessary after the bid specs had been put together was greater than what would be accomplished with just a painting job. That's why we've got the next budget, the next item within the agenda that looks to provide for removal and reconstruction of the facade and replacement of the PVC materials.
Do we have a motion for item C?
Motion to reject all bids as presented.
All
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, moving on to D, which is a resolution on the same topic, authorizing an award of bid to M&J Construction for the animal shelter post and beam rehabilitation project in accordance with all bid specifications in an amount not to exceed $28,175 with the $2,500 contingency. And this is in a memorandum from the facilities superintendent, again to the town manager, dated November 16th, 2017.
As I noted, what we're looking at this point is the removal of the entire pine facade on the front of the building and installing PVC material in place of it, and we'll do painting thereafter. 2 vendors submitted proposals to us. Recommendation is to go to the lowest qualified bidder as presented in the memorandum of November 16th. I would note the police chief will be here this evening on this issue. Unfortunately, Lyme disease has claimed another.
I know, he's been sick.
Out for a while at this point. Who's trying to recuperate.
Thank you.
A motion to approve item 13D as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions, moving on to E, a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for the program year of 2017 CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program for the annual estimated amount of $100,000 to implement the activity of local housing rehabilitation programs, and authorizing the town manager to provide any additional information or documents required by the Office of Housing and Community Development, to make any assurances required in connection with this program, and to execute an agreement with the state of Rhode Island, and to otherwise act as the representative for the town of South Kingstown in all matters relating to this application and any award which may be based upon this application. And this is described in a memorandum from the senior planner to the town manager dated November 15th, Community Development Block Grant Program application process of 2017.
The memorandum that Doug McLean has provided the council with tonight's package indicates that all municipalities, non-entitlement communities, have the ability with a set-aside program for the housing rehabilitation set-aside program to be able to commence operations for the 2017 application. What we need to do is to place an application asking for initial consideration for up to $100,000. That doesn't mean that if we have rehabilitation projects that exceed that amount that we cannot request an increase in that dollar amount. Again, I want to stress the point that community development block grants in the past had included the housing rehabilitation set-aside program in addition to the funding applications that we would prepare the Human Service Agency supports. That's been broken into two separate programs at this point. The only program that's ready to go forward is the housing rehabilitation set-aside. So we're asking council tonight for the authorization to be able to file the application that's necessary with the Office of Housing and Community Development. I also included with Doug's memorandum a copy of the a thumbnail of how that housing rehabilitation program works. Our policy has been rehabilitation grants would be limited to a $20,000 maximum grant. If and that the work had to be focused specifically on minimum housing standards, we would allow up to 10% of the work to be outside of the minimum housing standards. But if there were a program that was going to cost $40,000, the last $20,000 would have to go out as a reimbursement, so that they would be required to pay back that portion over the $20,000 in grant. We also set up a requirement for a lien to be placed on the property for grants up to $15,000 for 5 years and for over 15 for 10 years. And the lien erodes by an equal over the 5 years at 20% and in the 10 year by 10% each year until the lien would be extinguished altogether. We found the program as far as the loan program where we're looking at 0% loans when we're dealing with moderate income for elderly and 3% for family low and moderate income. So it's an effective program for us to be able to stay ahead of minimum housing standards on owner-occupied or apartment multifamily units, and has been an effective program that has been administered by, for many years by Jeff Marchand. And Jeff's here tonight, so I think having him attend the meeting, I'd like to at least give him an opportunity to advise where we're going, because the other thing I think Jeff can comment on is the organization that he was working through with the town of East Greenwich. East Greenwich will be terminating contractual arrangements as of the end of January 2018. What we'll be looking at is to continue that consortium of several communities going forward that would act as the administrator in terms of defining what the work effort would be in each of these contracts that would be let, and then being able to administer to ensure that the terms and conditions of the improvements were accomplished properly before the payments were made on either the grants or the loans. With that, Jeff, what have we missed?
Good evening.
Actually, I'm going to retire at the end of January. And the reason is I couldn't bear to work anymore if he left.
Good up, Jeff.
I am working on a successor organization to take over the management for however many towns wish to come along with the new structure. It won't materially be different, I don't think. I will hope to finalize my plan tomorrow at 5. I have a meeting with the organization that I want to take over. And I do have a replacement person in mind, and we've worked out a budget for at least the first year of operation that keeps me on board as a consultant for technical assistance and training for up to 1 year. So I'm not walking away. I didn't plan to retire. I had, in my mind, 2 more years, but things don't always work out the way you want to do that, Steve.
We're going to take a look at the proposal that comes in. We've got the best program that we continue to administer. And we'll be meeting with the other communities and Jeff to try to get.
Any questions on any of that?
Thanks for all your work over the years, Jeff.
Thank you. It's been fun. I've been doing this for 30 years. Started in 1988, South County Community Action. We were managing CDBG money. That's the first year it really took off in the state. It's changed a lot, but it's been fun up until a year ago.
When I met Jeff, he had a crew cut.
I had brown hair.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Jeff.
Motion to approve item 13E as presented.
Second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions? Seeing none. Item F is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Brunswick Commercial and Government Products located in Florida for the purchase of a Boston Whaler 17-foot Guardian model patrol boat, motor, and trailer package not to exceed $49,993, and that has been described in a memorandum from the harbor master to the town manager on November 14th of 2017.
As noted, we're recommending purchase through a federal GSA MPA contract as presented in the resolution this evening. I will note that the purchase is for a 17-foot harbor master boat with the trailer and the motor included. This is a replacement for 2 of the boats that we had. When we went through capital budget, we talked about the fact that we were operating with 3 different boats, 2 of which were in serious disrepair. And what we wanted to do is to get a boat that would be able to be used in all of the different water venues that the town operates, whether it's in the freshwater, narrow river, or at Salt Pond. This boat that we will be acquiring is also of the commercial grade patrol boat, so it should give us an extended life as far as the boat is concerned. The third boat, the 2 that we replaced, the one that will be outstanding, we'll be looking, as we said in current year capital budget, to replacing the engine on that second boat, I think in the year 2020. So we're trying to get everything up to date as far as the Harbor Master program, and to ensure that if we do have a water emergency, that we can get there in an appropriate time frame as a public safety vehicle.
Motion.
Motion to approve item 13F as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing no oppositions. G is a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application to the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management for funding through the 2018 Recreation Acquisition and Development Grant Program. And this is for replacing playground equipment at the West Kingston Park. And this is dated in, this is in a memorandum dated November 21st, 2017, from Leisure Services directed to our town manager.
Monies that were approved through the state for the bonding program for the green bond last year are now making small grant application program available. We're looking to submit an application for 80% of the estimated cost of replacing two play structures at the West Kingston Park. As I mentioned in the pre-session, the capital improvement program, we've set aside $30,000 for improvements with the play area at West Kingston. To do replacement on the two units would be a cost of about $120,000. If we can get that type of a grant, the $90,000 through the grant itself, then we would be able to replace it all and accelerate what the improvements were that we've been setting aside money in the capital program, and hopefully be able to get that done within the calendar year. So tonight's resolution is simply to provide authorization for us to submit the grant application.
Motion to approve item 13G as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing none, H is a resolution authorizing award of contract to VHB for consulting services to update the Town of South Kingstown multi-hazard mitigation plan in an amount not to exceed $25,269. And this is described in a memorandum dated November 20th from the Director of Planning to the Town Manager.
As noted in the memorandum on this subject, 3 bids were submitted to provide the services for the hazard mitigation study and report. The town established a committee in advance with the bid specifications to evaluate lowest qualified evaluated bid. What that means is to take a look with specific stated criteria in the specifications as to what were the important issues to be evaluated in each of the proposals. VHB Inc. at $25,269 was determined to be the lowest qualified evaluated bid. We recommend the award. We have a $25,000 grant that's available through FEMA, and we will have $269 that will come out of the operating budget for the planning department to be able to complete the funding necessary for this project as presented.
Motion to approve 13H.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions, moving on to I, which is a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute a letter of support relative to the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation application to the U.S. Foreign Trade Zones Board, which includes an inclusion of South Kingstown within the service area of Foreign Trade Zone number 105, which is in a letter that is dated November 20th from the Director of Planning to our town manager.
Again, the request that's coming from the state at this point is a letter of support requesting that the entire state of Rhode Island be included in the federal, the foreign trade zone within the state of Rhode Island. Currently, it's limited to a few areas, which would be at Quonset, Wall, and in Providence. So what we're asking to do is to have it so that any member of the business community that could take use of the benefits provided within the trade zone would have the opportunity in South Kingstown. So we would support having the council provide the letter of endorsement for the application to go statewide rather than to be limited to certain areas of the state.
Motion to approve item 13I as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, the last item on our agenda this evening is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Abacore Restoration Company for carpentry and painting service contracts for a 19-month term from December 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2019, which is in accordance with the terms and conditions of the bid specification at the following prices, which are listed below. And this is also described in a memorandum from the building official to the town manager dated November 17th.
If we find a need for carpentry, minor carpentry work or painting work within the town with a value of less than $5,000, we would be able to use the bid results that are before you this evening. Our normal practice is to determine whether we can do the work in-house and in many cases we will. If we do not have the labor available for, or the skills necessary for that type of work, we would be able to use Abercrombie Restoration at the stated prices both for the carpentry work and for the painting on a per hour basis. We do not see a lot of work through this because most jobs would be in excess of 5,000, which would mean that they would be before the council as a direct bid item.
Make a motion we approve 13J as presented.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Motion carries. The time is 8:55. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:55.